Today we're going to talk about retaining clients. This is a training episode, so hold on, everyone.
Welcome to Thriving Launch with Louise Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
5 days a week, we bring you different segments to inspire you to live a life of freedom. We interview the leading experts in the field of business, health, and love. Be sure to check out Training Tuesdays, where we give you a clear action plan to grow your own business.
Do you have a product or service that you would like to sell online? Or maybe you've been thinking about it, but you're reserved to do it because you need a website, you need complicated systems, and you need to spend money? Well, I've created a completely free course that teaches you how to use Facebook in a purely organic way. This means no ads and no money are needed. You can use Facebook completely free. So head on over to thrivinglaunch.com. Opt into my Profit from Social Media course. I'm going to teach you the free methods to using Facebook to make money today.
Today we're here with Robert Skrob, CPA, CAE, and he's recognized as one of the best member retention specialists in the world. Welcome to the Thriving Launch podcast with your hosts Kamala Chambers and Louise Congdon. Today we're going to talk about membership sites and membership programs, specifically how to retain customers in those, the subscriptions, the membership sites that you have, how to keep subscribers for longer. And we have the expert himself here to talk about that.
Welcome, Robert Skrob, to the Thriving Launch podcast. Now, what's really cool about having Robert here is that he's worked with the likes of Dan Kennedy. And one of the things that Dan says that I absolutely love is that it costs more to acquire a client than to keep them. So once you get them, you better know how to keep them, the lifetime value of a client. Another thing that Dan Kennedy has said is, he who is willing to pay more to acquire a client is the person that's going to win. And because once we get that client, then, we can keep the upsells, and the retention is so important. It's the lifeblood of your business. You better know how to keep those clients around. So welcome to the show, Robert.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Talking about keeping clients and retaining them, what is one of the first things we should know? I mean, I really set you up to bat here. People that are listening, this is so important. What is the number one thing I should know? One of the first things I should be doing?
Well, most people focus so much on making the sale. They think, okay, what about copywriting? What about my offer? What about my bullets? What about my sales page? What am I going to do? Maybe even have immediate one-click upsells. And then they get a customer and they immediately move on to going and getting the next customer. And they don't think as much about how to really leverage this new relationship they started. They spent all this time and money wooing this individual to become a customer, and they kind of ship out the product without really thinking, how can I really build a great lasting relationship with my brand new customers and members so that they don't just want to buy from me once, but they want to buy from me every month for the next several years.
That's so important. When I go inside my CRM, the thing that holds all my contacts, for people that don't know what the CRM is, when I go inside and I look at it and I look at the people that are buying, I am amazed. Some clients just continually are paying me more and more. And I find one of the things that Ryan Deese really talks a lot about in his work is that if you can get someone to even just buy a $5 to $7, $9 product, something, then you've qualified them as a valuable customer and you've acquired them as a client, which is, that's big success. But yeah, you're right. So many of us are got to get that next sale, got to get that next sale. But when you get really smart in business, you're like, okay, not just the next new sale, but how can I continue to please the current clients so that maybe I can find what they're currently needing and sell them other stuff? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, having a thought out process, it really, as much as when you get a lead, you think very carefully about the videos or the sales letters or the sales presentations that are going to turn that lead into a buying customer. Now, equally, let's think through the next things that the customer sees them into a long-term customer. And rather than the excitement and motion waning after they buy, let's figure out how to move it up. Because if we can leverage that excitement, and then we can turn that new customer into getting them engaged in the program, inviting them to refer and make referrals, and getting them to ascend to buy other products and services. It's really that deliberate consideration of what I do after I get a customer that I've seen it in some businesses where, a lifetime customer value of their average customers can be, maybe $3,100. But when they are very thoughtful about bringing their customers and ascending them, the lifetime value can be $35,000. So what we're talking about is really more than an incremental, oh yeah, maybe we can get this customer to buy a couple more things. No, we could easily 10 times the member value of every single customer or member that you're bringing on by being as thoughtful and deliberate of what happens after the sale as we were about what happens after we get a new lead.
Okay, so you got me hooked. I mean, this 10X idea is really awesome, really helping serve current clients. Kamala, I know you had a question there.
Yeah, this is really such an important process, and I love that you're talking about the retention of customers. I know that when we interviewed Ravi, the creator of DAP, if you guys want to check out that episode, it's at thrivinglaunch.com. And that's really going to help people look at the actual structure. But what you're talking about is the relationship. How do you build that relationship up?
Not only build that relationship, but to be able to do it at scale. Because, it's one way of creating a relationship is to call and to engage in conversation and all of those things that, kind of this two-way street. And, as you scale your business, it becomes impossible to be able to do those things. So it's engaging in them at scale. There's a number of different techniques and things that and messages we want to really think through after we get a new customer. One of the key things is to resell them on the dream that you use to buy. I don't know if you have ever done a weight loss program, but I can tell you I have purchased a whole lot more weight loss programs than I ever implemented, because buying a weight loss program is a whole lot easier than doing one. I've bought the GI diet, the protein power, countless books on losing weight that I read and with relative interest and then put aside and never really did anything with. And your customers have the same experience. They're upset about a particular problem. They engage, they buy, they feel a certain release because they purchased that, okay, I've solved that problem. And then their interest wanes. And also as a marketer, what we often are doing is we're so focused on giving them what they purchased. We're like, here's what you bought. This is what you do. Here are the 15 steps. Do this, do that. This is what you need to do. That we need to stop and say, okay, know what? Now that they've purchased, the bar is actually even higher, because now we're actually asking them to change habits, change what they do in their daily life, and incorporate us into their lives. So we actually need to paint the dream bigger and make the dream and help them visualize what it's going to be like after they've implemented your solution even clearer than we were able to do during the sales process, so that they go, wow, I've got the right team, I've got the right system, and you know what? I think I can do this.
How do you recommend? What are some real practical tips on how to get into people's daily life?
Well, it's ramping up the stakes so that they feel like that this is an important part. This is really worth their time and attention to change old habits. And then the other thing is what I call inviting them to lean into the program. Anytime we've tried anything new, you initially feel some resistance. Learning to play golf, learning to play tennis, learning to swim. Anytime you're learning these new skills, you kind of have to change old habits and get new muscle memories. And it's hard. And what we want to do is invite them when they feel that. Say, hey, some folks, as they implement this program, often feel resistance. They feel frustration. And if you feel that way, know that that's a normal part of trying something new. But we're going to work with you every step of the way in order to help you live this dream, accomplish these results or solve this problem, whatever it is that your proposition, so that you invite them so that they don't come to you, buy your thing, they feel pain, and in order to relieve their pain, they leave. You want them to feel like, oh, well, they can lean in to your program in order to help push through this temporary frustration and get the results that they came to get.
The thing is that you really pinpointed is that they are going to feel pain at some point, and often on the journey to getting the results that we want, which is what we're providing. We're providing results with our offers, with our memberships sites, with our packages, with our programs. We offer results. And on that journey to results, the stuff that's keeping us from getting those results often come up and can aggravate and really get shoved in our faces. So I love that if you can predict what the client's pain is going to be, then you can come so much further. You can kind of step ahead of the process and make sure that they feel nurtured rather than they come up against that pain and then they're out.
The most scary feeling that humans can face is the feeling of being alone. And if they feel like they're alone in this effort, then if they're going out on a limb to try something and that they don't have support to try, they're going to run from it.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And one thing that I really have seen a lot in one of our core programs is called Launch School. And what I see is people come up against their issue to actually get their message out to the world. They don't want to, they are scared to move through that block. And so they fall off. And that's where we have the real gold, because we have an opportunity to continue to engage people, to keep people coming back, and to say, we are here to support you with our accountability. And, a real practical way of doing that is consistent emails, consistent Facebook group support, making sure that you're checking up on your clients as they're going through the process.
Yeah, the other piece of all of this that's going to help you keep your members longer and be able to continue to turn your 10x your customer value is to also, in your products, in your member welcome sequence, remember that there are other individuals, other influencers that your new customer is going to face. And if your solution is a personal solution that they're implementing at home, you need to give them a story to tell their spouse, because the spouse is going to be a lot better at selling them out of your solution than you were at selling them in. And to the extent that they need support or acknowledgement or even just to be left alone to be able to do your system, you are better at promoting your system than your brand new customer is. So consider giving your customer a little handout that they can give their spouse that helps teach the spouse how to be supportive, what the goals are, why this is a win for the spouse, for their partner to do this, and how they can be most supportive through this journey. If your solution is something that they're going to implement at work, maybe they are the boss and they are going to be delegating this to a team of people, there needs to be a video or even a series of videos that sells this system to the employees so that they can appreciate and recognize how this is going to make their lives easier. Because the employees are a lot better at selling their boss out of the system than you're going to be at selling them in. The employees have got 5 days a week and at least 8 hours a day to work on your customer. You've got maybe email and some videos. And so better to give your new customer the stories that they're going to tell those around them and the actual tools to help educate the people around them in order to be able to fully implement your program.
I love that you're asking the people in your community to come together and support you in the journey and the process, and getting other people on board. One way that we do this is through having accountability partners and partnering other people who are going through the process to support you. And that works really well. Are there any things that you want to make sure that people have? Our audience are really go-to people. They're action-oriented people. What are some other tips that you want to make sure that the audience has on retaining customers?
I think the single most important thing to do to retain a customer for a long time is all about the member welcome package. Whether it's delivered online or it's delivered offline, really thinking through that package, making sure that you are reselling them on the dream, encouraging them to lean into the program, teaching them about your people. Like if you have other people that are helping them implement, other coaches or a team, introducing those people so that they can appreciate the value that those people will bring. Help, and then also telling them where to get started. So often somebody will sell a product that's, I worked with a client that had a awesome membership website. It had more than 1,000 videos on it, and they were entertaining and informative, and they were like 15, 20 minutes long, very, very well done. But it was a huge myriad of topics. It was, when I talked to the client, I said, if you went to college, he didn't go to college, but his son did. I said, when you send your son to college, if college was about driving in your car, pulling up in the parking lot at college, and then walking around until you saw, one building is labeled English, and the next is business, and next is science, and next is computers. And they just kind of walked around, and they go into a building when they feel like that sounds like that's interesting. And then they go from class to class. And then when they find a class, they're reading the little sign as to what the class is about, and they go into a class and they sit there for a little while until they get bored, and then they leave that class and maybe go into another one. If that's what college is like, no college is going to happen. In college, there is a promised outcome. After you go through this program, you can become a doctor. After you go through this set of classes, you can become a CPA. After you go through this trajectory, you can become a geologist. And there is a promised outcome, and then there's a step-by-step process for achieving that outcome. And if you, on your membership site, if you don't have at least the first step of that outlined, and in your member welcome, getting them started on that journey, then, if it's just a matter of, hey, there's 1,000 different resources here, they're all great, go check them out. It doesn't matter whether you have 100, 500, 1,000, or 20,000, that's not going to build retention. What's going to build retention is helping people on their journey accomplish their dream and get the results that they're looking for. And giving them one video or one resource of where to start is a lot more powerful than trying to give them 1,000.
This is all really great information. And one of the things that I've really gotten out of today is how important it would be for me to, and pretty much almost any business owner, is just kind of go back and look at all the people that have bought some of our software and different systems that we have and check in with them and say, hey, how's it going? I just wanted to recap the program and the dreams and, what you were going to get out of it. And hey, since you purchased this program, I want to make sure that you, have watched video 1 and video 2 and video 3. These are where you really start. And, go ahead and hit reply if you have any kind of questions. Now, I would be doing this at a slightly different based on the level of the client, because I couldn't take in so many clients responding and trying to message them specifically, but nonetheless, just following up and creating some sort of follow-up system. And I know that I've slacked off a little bit on that and could benefit by doing one more follow-up just to check in with people.
Yeah. One thing that I love about what you're saying, and, you're saying you want to stay focused because, for example, you go into a membership site, there's so many different resources you could put in there. But if you keep it clear and you keep it step by step, real magic can happen. One thing that I find is that I know you talked about a university, and how this is different than, it's so different than being at maybe you don't want to take like the biology or the chemistry or any of those extra classes. Your membership sites can really keep people on par and focused on the result. We've been here with Robert Skrob. This is amazing to have you on the show. Thank you so much for the incredible information you gave us on how to retain subscribers for longer. You're listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. Be sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. Breakdown of the show notes and all of that. So see you at thrivinglaunch.com, everyone. You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there. Be sure to tune in to tomorrow's episode where we're going to talk with Larry Belota about turning your marriage from hell to heaven.